Hello all you super geniuses out there. Welcome to another video lecture from Super Genius 99. Today we will be talking about polynomial functions. Okay, so let's read the problem. List all zeros of each polynomial function and specify those zeros that are x-intercepts. So we're going to be given an equation, a function, okay? We're going to solve it for 0. And then we're going to list the x-intercepts, which are really just the real zeros versus imaginary zeros. Okay. And here's the definition of zeros. Zero roots, a number r, is said to be a zero or a root of function p of x if p of r equals 0. Okay. So let's look at the first one. P of x equals x plus 7 times x squared plus 25 times x squared plus 9. Okay, so what you do is take each one of those parentheses, set them equal to 0. So let's do that. So let's start with the first one, x plus 7. Let's set that equal to 0. Oops. Clean up my board a little bit. Okay, x plus 7 equals 0. Solve for x. What do you need to do? Yes, subtract 7 from both sides. Okay, so plus 7 minus 7 goes away. And 0 minus 7 is how much? Okay, so that's one of our zeros. Let's put that in a green box. Okay, so we did the first one. Let's do the second one. X squared plus 25. Let's solve for 0. Okay, so x squared plus 25. What do you want to do to solve it? How do you properly move the 25 over? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. You're going to subtract. What number are you going to subtract? 25, yes. And then what is 0 minus 25? Okay, so 25 minus 25 goes away. 0 minus 25 is how much? Okay. And then solve for x. How do you undo a square? What operation undoes a square? Yes, square root. So get the square root of both sides. Okay, so we know that the square root of a negative number, the square root of negative 1 is just I. So this negative 25 is the same thing as square root of 25 times the square root of negative 1. Okay, and then square root of x squared is just x. Okay. So then square root of 25 is just plus and minus 5, and then the square root of negative 1 is an I. So x equals plus and minus 5i. Let's put that in the green box. Okay, so we did the second one. Now on to the third one, x squared plus 9. So take that, set it equal to 0. Solve for x. How do you isolate the x component? Yes, subtract a 9 from both sides. Okay, so if you subtract 9 from both sides, plus 9 minus 9 goes away. 0 minus 9 is negative 9. X squared equals negative 9. How do you handle a square root? What do you need to do if you want to handle a square? What operation? Yes, square root to both sides. Okay, so the square root of x squared is just x. Okay, and then like similar to the last one, we can break up the square root of negative 9 to the square root of 9 times the square root of a negative 1. Okay, square root of 9 is just a 3 plus and minus 3, sorry, plus minus 3. Square root of negative 1 is I, so x equals plus and minus 3i. Let's put that in the green box. So everything in the green box is basically our zeros. Okay, so I'll put a z there for 0. And then which one are the intercepts? I'll put an I in front of the ones that are intercepts. So I for intercept, z for 0. Okay, so why aren't these intercepts? Because they're imaginary. And on a real number line, or a real Cartesian coordinates, the xy coordinate plane, if you have x and y, let's just draw it out. Right, you got your xy, right? These are your positive numbers, these are negative numbers, so you got 1, here's going negative 1, and then same thing, here's 1, and then here would be negative 1 if you had x and y. But notice on your xy plane, there's no room for imaginary. We have yet to find a way to draw the imaginary number in the xy Cartesian coordinate plane. So anything that has an imaginary number like plus or minus 5i or plus or minus 3i, we can graph it, so we don't have an x-intercept. So the only thing that's the intercept is the negative 7, not because it's negative, because it's a real number. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, here we have x squared minus 5x plus 6. So let's solve. Let's solve that for 0. Okay, so here we got to do factoring, right? And I know all y'all out there just love factoring, so you're just tickled pink. You're thrilled. Okay, so when we factor, particularly when we factor things that are square, what we try to ask ourselves is, well, we know the first component because there's only 2 things that you can multiply to get an x squared. Okay, only 2 things you can multiply to get x squared, x and x. So we try to ask ourselves, what was the origin? What 2 components are, what 2 binomials, if you want to look at it that way, what 2 binomials do we multiply together to create the trinomial of x squared minus 5x plus 6? So here's our trinomial, right? Here's our binomials. What 2 binomials got the trinomial? Okay, so we know over here, because of this 6, that tells us the 2 numbers have to multiply together to give us 6. Okay, so what 2 numbers multiply together to give 6? 6 and 1, 2 and 3. Okay. Here this tells us that the larger number had to be negative. Okay. And it has to add up to a negative 5. Okay, so what adds up to a negative 5? Negative 6 plus 1 equals a negative 5. So negative 6, so x plus negative 1 times x minus 6. Oops, sorry. Did that wrong. Let me pause. Let me come. So let's assume that we thought that worked. Well, what happens when we multiply this out? X squared plus x minus 6x, and then that would give us minus 6. Okay. So if I do this, I get what? X. I get my minus 5x. Okay. But I come out with negative 6. So in essence, let's go ahead and, so that one didn't work. Okay. So let's continue and look at some more possible solutions. So let's look at some more possible solutions. So we need something to give us the positive 5. So we also have what? 2 and 3. Let's try 2 and 3. Okay, so there we have 2 and 3. Okay, so then let's try that. What happens when we multiply that out? We get x squared minus 3x, okay, minus 2x plus 6, added together x squared minus 5x plus 6. So that's our original answer, so that works for us. So let's solve those two for 0. Set that equal to 0. Break them up. X minus 3 equals 0, and x minus 2 equals 0. Okay. And then when you solve for x minus 3 equals 0, that gives you what? X equals 3. And then x equals 2. Okay. In this case, both of these are real, so they are both zeros and x-intercepts. Okay. Thank you for watching this video lecture from Super Genius 99 on polynomial functions. Hope that helped. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you and bye-bye.